So this is talking about movement to the ball, stepping. Right? I'm a big hands and feet always move together. Alright, I'm a big shuffle step guy, which is step, shuffle step. So it's kind of like a 3-step process rather than the start-stop process of a 1-2 step. Every time you move, your hands, foot go together. So you split that body in half. If a shot's on the right side, your top hand goes everywhere, but then your right foot, your top hand go together, which forces your body to follow. Just if it's opposite, you know, hand and foot go together, your body will follow as it comes. The shuffle step, I think it's a more fluid way of getting somewhere and staying balanced and being athletic. The way I teach it is I just tell the kids, get in your stance and shuffle on a 45-degree angle about 5 or 6 steps, and they'll shuffle pretty well to get there, and then they'll come back, and then you take a shot, and they actually do it really well. Rather than trying to teach someone to do it right off the bat, it's harder, but get them to over-exaggerate shuffling all the way through 5-10 yards first, and then come back, and then there'll be more of a rhythm to know how to do it. Because you can say, how do you do stretching lines? How do you do all this stuff? When you shuffle, it's something that they remember rather than trying to teach them, you know, the 3-step process. With that, I always say you're going to get to a place a lot quicker and be balanced and in my ready position when I finish the save. So rather than forcing me to throw my momentum, start and stop, the old 1-2 step method. So it's the shuffle step, the fluid movement of me getting from point A to point B. Every time I step, I want to make sure I seal the pipe. So that pipe should split me down the back every time I step. So if I'm facing a shooter here and he shoots off hip, I want to shuffle step to get here, and I know that that ball has got to go through me before it gets to that back pipe. So my job is to shuffle step, seal the pipe every single time I make a step and make a save. No false movements, which is you guys as coaches, as lacrosse guys can pick up on that. Take a false step and then react. So try to keep them in their balanced, ready position. Off the balls their feet, they see it, boom, and explode. All right, so you don't want them to take a step with their right foot knowing they got to explode to the left. So false movements, kind of dipping, hitching, stuff like that. Tell them to hold their ground, see the ball, and then react to it. Drills. Yep.
Question. I've heard the words cop or drop step, but I don't know what is that. Speaking of steps, I don't know. I know what I see, but I don't know the words.
A drop step. That would drop step would be kind of stepping back. So that's when I would use a drop step is play an angle play. When I turn the corner, I would drop step and do that. The other terms drop step might be down the alley. You drop step to get back to your positioning. But I don't know what else they mean by, what's the other one?
I heard that.
That's a wrestling move.
People brought that up to me, I just say, I don't really know what that means.
Yeah, I haven't.
If you don't know what it means, then obviously it means nothing.
Yeah, so I haven't heard that been said before, but the one thing that as we move to the shots, keeping 2 planes, all right, don't break the glass. So if I'm in my ready position and this is one plane, this is another plane. Nice geometry lesson. Alright, especially for you, Rocco. Alright, when you step, you want to make sure you keep everything on the same plane. You don't want your hands to reach out and extend your arm. Because that ball is coming to you, you want to meet it where it's going to hit you, rather than you try to reach out and attack it. Because as you can see, when I reach out, my head of my goalie stick isn't as open to the shot as much as it is here. If I go over, that head of my stick is wide open and as big as possible. Again, being as efficient as possible. Rather than punching out, you see how the head of the stick isn't as big. Alright, so with two planes, so what I say is don't break the glass. Punching out like that is breaking that glass in front of you. Pretend like there's a piece of glass, you don't want to break it, so always move everything together. Same thing when you step for a stick side hip shot, you see a lot of people step into their hands and get alligator arms, so you can't move out of that. Make sure they step, keep their hands away from them, making that save, keep it on 2 separate planes rather than stepping into your hands and breaking up that piece of glass. Top hand makes every save, so that will be drills that we'll talk about at the end about how you can improve your hand-eye coordination, quickness, and just over-exaggerating that in warm-ups. Again, toes facing the shooter. So anytime I take a shot, or that shot's coming from over here, and he shoots off hip, I don't want to step forward and have my toes facing this way when I know the shot came from here, because I'm not square to that shot anymore. My toes want to get my hips around and get square. So my toes are facing him, so my whole body is as square to the shooter as much as possible. So that's really important when we do that. When we get our hip around, I always pop our hip around, and I'll touch base about that on a drill later that you can do in warm-ups. Low shots. All right, this is the hardest one to teach for younger guys because they just want to drop the stick, right, and keep their butt up in the air, keep their legs straight. All right, it's really important to be a shortstop, be a catcher. I know we don't like reiterating baseball stuff, but as a shortstop or a catcher, you get your hands down, your chest is up, your body's behind it in case it takes that bad hop. All right, you're still athletic to explode back up. The more you bend at the waist and straighten your knees, you're not athletic and it hurts your back to get back up. So it's really important to drop your butt. What I always say is drop your butt, and look how easy it is to get your hand to the ground already by just dropping your butt, your hand's there as soon as possible. All right, so what I say, low shots, get your hand to the ground as quick as possible, get your body there behind it to follow. Lastly, off hip saves. All right, so instead of sweeping our hands to get there, all right, another geometry lesson, shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So so I always say, cut through that clock. So if my hand's on a clock, right, so for you guys this would be about 10 or 11 o'clock here, and I want to get to 3 o'clock. Instead of sweeping all the way around to get there, takes a while, I would just cut right through with my top hand, punch my bottom hand out, and I get there a little bit quicker, being efficient with my stick perpendicular to the ground. Instead of sweeping to get there and hopefully getting there or missing it, all right, by cutting through and punching my bottom hand, I'm eliminating this whole area that I'm swinging through. So it's a cut through, punch your bottom hand, and your stick's perpendicular to the ground. So you don't want to cut through and keep your bottom hand in your back pocket, because then your stick could get caught, and as you can see, the head of your stick is not open as much as possible. So by punching your top hand, opens it up, and being able to cradle it, or baby cradle it, or protect it as much as possible.